this computer. Sweet, we're recording.
All right. So we are Facebook living people. So let's go ahead and do this. Welcome to our live Q&A about 15 minutes late because we are still learning a lot about technology. Obviously, we know how to put on a show over technology. We don't necessarily know how to come to you live doing a Q&A over technology. We are going to start with some introductions. We are going to go straight through the cast list and have people introduce themselves, their name, year that you are in school, and what your character is. So we will start with Gossip.
Hi, I'm Darian Odette Hilmerson. I play Gossip, and I'm graduating this year in June. Woo!
Yay. Well, Tim is not able to be with us today. His name is Logan Ackerman, and he is a junior. We will go to Andy next.
Howdy, my name is William Loudon. I play Andy in Gossip, and I'm a sophomore here at Mayo.
And Dallas, you are next.
Hi, my name is Alyssa Keller, and I am a senior, and I play Dallas.
All right, moving on to Candy.
Hi, I'm Emma Bransford, and I play Candy, and I'm a senior.
Excellent. Kane.
My name is Trip Dow. I play Kane, and I'm a senior.
And Ryan.
Hi, my name is Rocco. I play Ryan, and I'm a freshman.
And Maya.
I'm Maya. I'm Maya Baker. I play Maddie, and I am a sophomore.
Okay, and then I'm going to go through our crew folks. So we will start with the student director.
I'm Erin Stokig. As stated, I'm the student director, and I'm a junior.
And sound, please.
I'm Jake Gifford. I'm sound guy.
Austin, we're on to you.
Hi, I'm Austin, and I'm the prop king, you know.
Excellent. And then we have 3 amazing volunteers that worked on our publicity and getting word out about our show. We will start, I'm going to go diagonally down my screen. So I'll start with Allie.
Hi, I'm Allie Week. I'm a junior at Mayo, and I'm a publicist.
And Olivia, you're the next one on my screen.
I'm Olivia Haveman. I'm a publicist, and I am a freshman.
And Monica.
I'm Monica Robertson. I'm a freshman and a publicist.
Excellent. So we are going to start with some Q&A about our one-act competition show, Gossip Virtual Edition. For those of you who don't know what a one-act competition show is, every year Mayo High School participates in the Minnesota State High School League one-act play competition. Our task is to create a 35-minute or less production that we can then be judged on, and there's set rules that we have to follow for doing a one act. We did compete at our subsection this last week, and we can kind of go into what competing looks like this year. But Erin, how did that turn out for us?
We got second place at subsection. Anything else you want me to include?
Well,
there?
and what will be happening this week?
Oh yeah, we're moving on to the section competition where we hope to place first and move on to state, knock on wood. And our production can be viewed on our YouTube page.
Exactly. Very good. Very good. Cast, using raising of a hand type thing so people can see you. How many of you, is this your first year doing Mayo One Act? Participating with the Mayo One Act, including publicity, that counts you too. Okay, so we have a few new folks, but most of our cast is back for at least a second or third or some of you fourth go arounds with this. Like we said, we did have to do our show different this year. Is there anyone who'd like to explain what that means? What did we have to do this year? Who wants to take that one? All right, go ahead, Miss Maya.
Well, first off, we had a lot of really wonderful people donate some things to us, like really good quality cameras and microphones, and also like some really fancy ring lights. And those definitely helped us with like the overall quality of our show.
Okay, so why did those things have to help with our show? What did we have to do? I mean, did you perform on the stage? Where did you end up performing, guys?
We performed right where we are now.
Right where they're sitting.
Right where
this
we
is
are.
They're all sitting in their stage spaces. So they performed from home. And we videotaped it over Zoom with the students in their own homes as their sets. So we do want to send a huge shout out to all of our sponsors that helped sponsor getting the lights and the cameras and the microphones. We want to thank Sean and Maria Waterbury, Connie Johnson, George and Katie Colbinson. We wanted to thank Rich Snyder for his donations as well. All of you made a huge difference in us getting to be able to get this show. We'd also like to send a huge thank you shout out to the Mayo High School Booster Club, who also did some huge amounts of financing for us to be able to continue with this. All right, so there's going to be no being shy, or I'm going to start calling on different people. So here we go. Let's start with what is virtual theater? Who wants to go there? What is virtual theater? All right, go ahead, Trip.
Virtual theater is theater that you do over the internet. So instead of being on stage all together in the same space, we're all in our bedrooms, connected by Zoom. There's some nice things about it. It's a little lower budget than theater because we don't have to build huge sets. But there's also some downsides, like internet lag can make things tough, especially the spaces between lines and stuff like that. But yeah.
Excellent. So virtual theater is literally what we've been doing because of COVID for a lot of things, of doing our lives through the computer. So what have you guys learned from doing the show virtually instead of on a stage?
I can take this one.
Okay, go for it.
So I think it's when you're on stage, you learn to act with your whole body, make sure that your facial expressions are super big, that you're walking around using your space. And right now we have just a little box that we have to use. So one of the big things that we had to do is make sure that we're using that tiny space that we have and making sure that we display our characters in a good manner that people will understand. And yeah, so kind of just like learning how to use what we have, basically.
Hey, does anybody want to add anything to that? Okay. So in what ways is virtual theater similar to the theater you guys have done in the past?
They both have the word theater in them.
Very good, Rocco. They both do have the word theater in them. Can you think of a way that maybe it's very similar?
Well, we all went through rigorous audition processes. We went through rehearsals every single day. We read from scripts, which I thought was interesting. And yeah, that's how it was similar to live theater.
Okay, excellent. Anybody want to add to what Rocco explained for us? All right, they're all having a hard time not bust. Yeah, he did. How is it different? I think Trip kind of hit on some of that. Does anybody have any other differences?
I think the hardest thing for me, at least, is not being able to see everyone in person.
Okay.
This is my second year with One Acts, and last year I just really bonded with everyone. So it's super difficult to not be able to see everyone in person and also like not welcome the new people into our little family.
I just thought of an answer too.
Okay, what's that?
Okay, so what we're doing is for the show, we're constantly looking directly into the camera like this. But it's a little more difficult to do that, especially because like on stage, so much of our acting is reacting to others and interacting with our stage partners. So it can be very challenging and something that we really had to learn to just like trust ourselves and our partners without looking at them even.
Any other additions to that thread? Okay, I'm going to go to a question that's come up on the Facebook Live. It's coming from Amy Munson. You guys want to send a quick shout out to her? Go ahead. For those who might not know, Amy Munson is the director at Mayo High School for the full-length stage musical and the full-length spring show. She is one of their beloved teachers and one of my dearest friends. and she is the one who helped me get hooked up with these amazing human beings. So her question, her question is, are there skills from virtual theater that you think could be transferable to the stage? All right, go ahead, Trip.
Timing is the big
Okay,
one
can
that
you
I
explain
thought
more about that?
of. Yeah, so your entrances have to be really planned out. You can't wait until you hear the line right before yours, because our cameras take a second to turn on. And we have to turn on microphones and our cameras and like mess around with the keyboard and stuff. And so you have to like be listening to the show. And once you're on, there is a little bit of lag with people's lines. So you have to make sure that you're talking right after them. Make sure everything fits together well. And then your exits have to be really on the dot, because other people are entering and sometimes those people can't be on screen at the same time, just for the flow of the show.
Could either you or Emma explain like the process that you two have had to do specifically? So to give people a little bit of background, if you haven't watched our YouTube yet, do it. Go out to YouTube, Mayo Stage Door, YouTube, and watch the one act. Kane and Candy are twins whose lines overlap, but Zoom does not allow for that overlap. So can you guys kind of talk a little bit about how what process you had to do?
Yeah, so we've spent some time in breakout rooms, just running our lines over and over again. We kind of have to make sure that that works. Since you can't talk over each other, you have to know when the other person's going to end and when you have to start.
Yeah, and I think we have to like have kind of like a mutual agreement on how we want to say the line. So it can't be like two different tones. It has to kind of flow as one sentence.
So do you just listen for him to end and then you start? How does that work?
Yeah, so we have to start a little bit before. Well, yeah, depending on what it is. You have to start a lot, or I guess not a lot, but way before the first part of the sentence ends.
So you're actually speaking before he's actually even finished his line.
Yeah.
Okay. What about the rest of you guys? What do you guys think? There's some things that you can transfer back onto the main stage.
Well, sorry, Will.
No, we'll go to Will next. Go ahead.
What I was thinking is that my entire theater career, I've always heard many times is that you always want to be in character 3 steps before you get on stage. And so I think that really transfers into doing it virtually, because like even though the lag is kind of annoying when you click your camera, it doesn't turn on for like 4 seconds sometimes, but it actually like gives you the opportunity to just like get in character, and right when it comes on, then you're in character. And so it's like a really good opportunity to think about that, just like rolling into your character as soon as you turn on your camera, you know?
Okay, Will, you wanted to add?
Yeah, kind of going off of that, I think one big thing we learn a lot in in-person theater and even virtual theater is improv. And I think improv comes particularly handy because even today when we were doing some rehearsal and yesterday and probably every rehearsal we've had since we started this whole thing, there's always been, of course, technical issues where my mic was muted, someone else's mic was muted, the camera isn't working, someone accidentally leaves the meter. There's a variety of problems, and I think improv especially comes in handy with, kind of like Darian said, just staying in your character and just, getting through it. Yeah.
Alyssa, what about facials? How do you think that can carry over?
Yeah, with virtual theater, you're so close to the camera that you can't, not saying that you wouldn't do big faces on stage, but like little movements or like when we do our freezes, like you have to be even more attentive than you normally would in person theater, because they can see so much more. And I think it's helped me a lot personally, practicing, like getting more and more comfortable and more used to like the more subtle eye expressions and eyebrow movements and little things like that.
Okay, so the next one off of our Facebook Live comes from Derek Ruggery. I wonder if that's any relation, Rocco. No?
Nope.
How do you fake a laugh? Like, because they say he says all he can do is audibly say ha ha ha. How do you fake the emotion when it's not your true emotion? In laughter and other things, how do you fake that, guys?
I'll take this one.
Go for it.
You see, whenever I need to fake a laugh, I think of my favorite hit movie, the Pixar film Inside Out. It has some of the best gags I've ever heard. I laugh out loud whenever I think of them.
Okay, so you think of something that might make you feel that emotion.
Yes.
Okay, how about anybody else? Fake laughter or any other emotion? Go ahead, Trip.
I try and do it from my stomach.
Okay.
So like, because if you do it from your chest, it sounds fake, like ha ha ha. But from your stomach, it's more like it's a little deeper, kind of like. Like,
okay.
Yeah. So like try and have it from like deeper down on your body.
Okay, go ahead, Aaron. We have a question that says, now that you have an understanding of the process of putting on a piece of virtual theater, would you ever choose it over live theater once it's possible again? Is there ever a situation or type of play where it might be preferable to do it virtually instead of live? Why or why not? I'm seeing lots of shaking heads.
As a props person, of course not. Like, it's been really hard not to like have my stuff on hand, and like it's tough not being able to be in the room with the person and like help them with like something that they're holding, something that they need. I just really miss being in person.
Okay, anybody else? We're missing the in-person piece. What do you think, Will?
I think I speak for everyone here when I say how incredibly frustrating technology is. We've gotten to this past week of having to plan our rehearsals so meticulously to do them before like a certain time period when everyone's internet gets bad. We had countless recordings ruined by, I think each one of us have had our share of. We accidentally left our mics on, all these different issues. And I think none of these issues would really exist when we're doing in-person theater. And bonus, I really haven't seen like castmates in how many months. And I think, but again, I think that's also crazy how we've been making such awesome art over virtually when we haven't even seen each other in person.
And I will kind of piggyback on that. Like the technical issues, like they wouldn't have if they were on stage, would be things like, you know, somebody's pet being in the room and we're going, oh, that's against state high school league rules. Now we got to start again. Or somebody's cue and just then their camera goes out or like their power goes out or there's an issue. So in that way, no. I think if you wanted to get to a wider audience though, virtual theater could be a way to do that, to get, like we were talking about how the video on YouTube's already gotten about 88 views and growing when we came on here. And I think we're hitting more people than our one act normally would hit. If you figure each of those 88, most of them are multiple people watching at the same time. So we have a question from Katie Queasley. And this is also somebody that some of you guys might want to do a shout out to. She was also the Mayo One Act director prior to me, and she was kind enough to let me hang out with these guys while she was not able to do so. How does the tech side get its time to shine when you're doing a virtual show? Something like lights particularly. So Jake, Aaron, and Austin, let's go to you. How does the tech get their moment to shine in a virtual production? Specifically, what did this production have in it that was able to tie some of those things in? Who wants to go?
I guess I can go first. So it's a lot different. Like when I was like the tech guy, I'm like, all right, what am I gonna do? Like the actors are gonna do most of it. The best I can do is like provide them with the means necessary to get it across the best. So I went and researched. Well, Kim found the camera and light, and then I went and found the correct mic that would also be cost effective, but also not sound like trash. And it was really interesting. Like it's a totally different experience doing tech online because you have to really think about the space that each person is in and like, can their mic get picked up? Did they take the sock off of their mic that came in the packaging? Like all this stuff. And like, did they set it up correctly? Like it's a lot of different testing compared to like in person where you're like, okay, I'm gonna mic up this person. Like I've done that a billion times. Now it's like, how am I going to do this digitally? It's just like a completely different experience.
And
Especially,
to like,
go ahead. I'm sorry. I was just saying, especially since you can't be in the room with them. How many times did you have to
Yeah.
go into breakouts and
Yeah,
show
like-
your screen and show people how to do it?
Yeah, like there's a lot of stuff that like I know because I've been doing tech for like 4 years now, and I can just like be like, okay, go here, here, here. That's how you connect your mic. And then some people just don't know that because like I don't know, they just didn't need to know it. But yeah, Austin.
Yeah, so like with the setup stuff, the like the lighting and the mics, it also restricts where they can be set up. And so we'll have like this great idea of like, oh, this background scene like fits your character, looks really good. And then it'll be like, oh wait, like you can't be there because the light doesn't fit. So it was kind of hard to figure that out. And then also if you notice like the theme of red in the show, it was also hard to like make sure everyone had that theme going on so that it all matched, because most of the stuff had to be found from like stuff at home, so we had to DIY some of it and to go with the backgrounds. Like with Maddie's background, we had to put up a nice red picture so that
It's a calendar, actually. It's a calendar that I got in Virginia.
Yeah, like that. We didn't really have a lot of options for her, so I don't know. It's definitely different and hard.
Yeah, definitely. One of the things I've always loved about theater is how important every single person is to like the complete whole. That like every single bit part, every single person who runs a prop on is, you know, integral to the entire like end product. And so that there's an aspect of relying on people in all of theater, which has sort of changed in virtual theater. Is we have to rely on people for very different things, like setting up their own spaces and their own mics, and like even Wi-Fi is, you know, a completely uncontrollable thing. So there's a lot of, you know, there's relying on people is something that's still very integral to theater within this virtual process, but it's for different things than we'd initially maybe expected coming into theater itself.
So let's talk quick to our publicists. How is this different than like trying to publicize a stage production?
I don't really know, actually. I haven't publicized for any shows before, but I don't know if either of the other publicists have.
I don't think none of us. I don't think any of us have ever publicized for something before. But I think it's probably easier since everything's online, and we can just share docs and we can have Google Meet while doing it together. So I think it would be easier than normal. But again, I'm not sure because I've never done it before.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, you go first, Monica.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. It probably would be easier online because, like, in person, you probably have to, like, go to all these places and, like, hang up flyers and things like that and, like, go to places in person. But online, you just, like, click a few buttons and then it's out everywhere.
Go ahead, Maya.
I worked a little bit with the publicity team last year, not too much this year. But when we're in person, we can do a lot more with putting posters up other places. Like we have things called poster parties, and we just go around everywhere, hanging up posters in any facility that would let us. And now it's all virtual. And I mean, I'm not really sure which one would be easier to kind of get the word out that we're having a show, but there are definitely a lot of differences.
And I do have to like give a shout out to these ladies because they made lists of TV stations and radio stations, and we wrote a letter. They wrote a letter to, well, I helped them. I gave them a template, and then they came up with, they got it to the district to get our funding site set up. And they did a lot of legwork on that. Olivia drew the poster art that we set up on the poster that we sent out. And these guys did a lot of work. They did a lot of communication between them. We're getting views on YouTube because these 3 volunteers said, yeah, I want to be part of the show, even though I can't be part of that cast and the official crew, I still want to be part of this. And so huge shout out and huge respect to the 3 of you for the work that you did for us. we so appreciate you. You're part of this little family, and we so much appreciate that. And I know I speak for the cast as well on that. So let me see. Did the virtual format affect your character development? Okay, who wants to take that one?
Well, I think it's a lot more difficult to add our bodies into this, because like we've been told time and time again, and we finally figured it out how to be like more physical, like more hand gestures, more like changing positions in our shoulders and everything. But it's definitely way harder than in real like normal stage theater, because like we don't have all the space in the world. We can't just do this. So it's more like it's character development has like part of it is the body movements and your actions and stuff, and when you're a little more boxed in than normal, it's challenging.
Yeah, I agree with Darian. It's definitely harder to, do your movements and stuff in such a small space. I think on the aspect of like a backstory, that's definitely the same. Because it's just, that's all in your head. That's, what you think that your character, came from. So that part was the same, but what Darian said was a lot different. So.
All right, I saw two people over on this side wanting to speak in. Will, did you have something to add?
I did. I think definitely for me, and I think a lot of other people too, a lot of my character development when I am first, like, I see this character I've been cast as, is like, okay, how do I go about creating this character? One of the first things I do is talk with other people, and particularly my other cast members that they frequently interact with. And I think that's a lot where I base my character development on. I base it off other people's ideas. I base it on like I definitely talk over with my cast members and like my scene members, and I'm like, okay, like how would this scene go? How would they be reacting? And I think a lot of that, because we're virtual, like we still had some of those conversations, but it's really not the same. And it's a whole other task, like Darian said, of just sitting in your chair and just kind of looking at the camera and acting. It's a really whole new realm we've had experience with this.
Alyssa, you almost chimed in earlier. Did you want to add anything to this? No. Okay. So the next question we have for you guys, and I do want to point out, like the camera was a huge thing for you guys. Like it took us weeks to get everybody looking into that camera, and that and that intimacy piece of the show really played through that way. When you run out of other questions, here it is. What's the difference between being in front of a live audience versus doing this on a recording?
Oh, it's so different. Can I take this one first?
Yes, go for it.
Oh my goodness, it's so different, because I don't think maybe audience members understand this, maybe some do, but like the audience is a character in the show. It really is. We feed off of the audience. All of your energy, your laughter, your crying, your comments, you're a character, and we react to you on stage, and it's so amazing. Like literally the audience, like we couldn't have a normal stage show without an audience. It just like normal rehearsals, they just don't go as well as performances. They just don't. So like as we've noticed when we're doing this show virtually, is that sometimes we had some people like hop on and watch us live, like when we were recording and rehearsing and stuff. And we always noticed that our energy and everything was so much better when there was somebody watching us.
Anybody else want to share or add to that at all? How it's different? Okay, I think one of the differences too, though, is in a regular one act year, we get one shot, and we're on the stage, and we have one shot to do the show. And with this format, we are able to record every day and kind of choose our best recordings. So that's maybe a benefit from this. How much would they have to pay for Rocco's or Will's autograph or Darian's, was a question from Derek Ruggery. All right. What?
I can put my Venmo. I can plug my Venmo.
You
super
plug
quick
your
if you guys
Venmo?
need that.
Okay,
I
that'd
have
be
some at
great.
my merch shop.
You get some at your merch shop. That's great. What about one act is a draw? Like, what about one act makes you say, yeah, this is something I really want to do?
First and foremost, I love competing, and that's something that really motivates me. Even last year, I think that was probably my favorite aspect of it, is just competing against the other schools, but also seeing their shows too. And we're gonna have like a small festival thing with all of the other schools, and we're just gonna watch each other's shows. And I think that's probably one of the things that I'm most excited for.
All right, Jake, go for it.
All right. So this being my third one act, I feel like I've seen a lot. Well, I've seen like a lot of shows because there's just been a lot. And it's also just like really interesting because there's like 10, 15, 20 people max. And it's like, it's not like a musical where there are like 50. It's just a lot more intimate, and like you go to all these schools and you work with their equipment and you're just kind of like on the ball rolling. And also, like, I'm not really that competitive, but it's also fun to win against these schools that have a lot better light systems and sound systems as you, and just bigger schools. And then you're this little school that walks in and you just like kick their butt and you just like walk out and they're like, it's just kind of funny. It's just kind of fun in that way.
All right, Rocco, what do you got for us?
Well, what really like sealed the deal for me, I guess, when I heard about the Q&A that would be happening, and I just knew I had to be a part of it at that point.
Even though that came like a month into the rehearsal time, huh?
I
You just
felt it.
had a
I felt it.
premonition. Got
Yeah,
it. Got
you
it.
know how I am.
I do know how you are. So the question that, from Ms. Munson is, what does the competition schedule look like moving forward? So I'll give you what normally happens in a regular year, and then these guys can tell you what our competition schedule like this is going to look like. In a regular year, we have about 8 weeks to put our one act together. They get out a little early on a school day, and then we get on a bus and we travel to a school and we put on our show once. We get on a bus and we have we go and we put on our production one time, and then we find out if we move on, then we have about a week, and then we get on another bus and go to another school. And this year it's very different. So Erin, do you want to speak to that, like what how we she's terrified now. Like what we've had to do to hit our competitions and what that looks like going forward?
You mean like recording on Saturdays?
Yeah, like all of that.
Okay. Yeah, it's I think it's probably approximately the same amount of time we would spend preparing in the same sort of ways, because it's all ramping up to that one final, like in this case, perfect take, as opposed to in that in that situation the perfect run through we hope for at the competition. So it's similar in that it's in within that timeline. Usually, your best one comes towards the end, where your competition placement would also be. But there's not that same energy of being around other shows that are competing with you at the same time. So yeah, it's similar, but it's definitely different, and it's there's less of that build up as the night progresses and as the scores will be announced and who wins is announced. So
All right, we'll jump on the statement here. What do you want to add?
So I think for us last year, I think a lot of us recognize this one moment. So last year, context. Last year we did a show about children in the Holocaust, and I think one of my favorite moments of like my entire life, and I think the rest of ours too, is what we did is after we got onto our costumes and like our little dressing room and makeup, we had to walk from the classroom all the way to the stage, and we did so in like such in I can't even explain it. I think everyone here knows what I'm talking about though in the Zoom. Basically how we were just walking and we just like very somber face and we all walked as a team and like all the other schools, it was so funny. All the other schools are pointing at us and they're like whispering. I literally felt like we were in a movie. And that was just like that was such a good moment and it gave us so much energy to perform. And I think virtual one act wise, that's just something that we can't have this year, which is really unfortunate, but it definitely makes me look forward to next year's and being like, I can't wait to have another moment like that.
Yeah, my seniors are like, yep, and we won't have that. So we had subsections last week. What that looked like was, like Aaron was saying, we had to tape a bunch of times. When we felt we had the last couple that we thought were our best, we had our leadership team meet, which is Aaron, Austin, Jake, and myself. We went through it. We made sure there weren't any errors that were like overwhelmingly issues, or if there wasn't a disqualification type issue in it. And then we had to post it to a website. Then that had to be in by a deadline. Then the next morning it was released to the judges. The judges had 48 hours with the tapes to watch all the videos and then get their results back in. So we submitted it on a Sunday and then it uploaded and then they gave it out to the judges on Tuesday. And then we had to wait until Thursday to get our results. And we got our results on Thursday. We worked yesterday. We worked today. We finally got a recording today that was really pretty clean. It's probably the best one we've done. So unfortunately, that's not the one we have up on YouTube, but you'll love it if we ever put this one up. So probably tomorrow, Austin, Jake, Aaron, and I will be gathering together again on Zoom, and the four of us will be uploading that. It's got to be in by Monday for section tournament. It'll go out to the judges Tuesday morning. They'll have Tuesday and Wednesday until noon on Thursday to have it viewed and have all the results turned in. And then we'll have our results by 3:00 on Thursday. And that'll tell us whether or not we go on to state. There are 3 teams still left in the competition for our section. We're in section 1AA. There's a show from Casa Manorville called Bad Actors. They came in 1 point ahead of us at subsections. And then there's a show called Tears of Zion from Mankato East that came in 3rd. And so our 3 teams will be the 3 teams that move on to sections this year. And one of those 3 teams will get the opportunity to submit their video to state. And we've not yet even gotten the deadline for that. Minnesota State High School League had kept changing the rules even for one act up until, was it 2 days before we uploaded? We were still getting rule changes. So we'll submit that to State High School League. Again, those judges will have 48 hours. And then if we make it to state, we'd have to upload it and then they'd have 48 hours. And the judges then would have our results back to us. And I believe it's set for next Saturday. We would get a live Q&A critiquing over the Zoom platform or over a platform with one of the judges where they get to give us a live critique of our show. And once you get to state, you don't get first, second, or third. You either get a starred performance or you just get to participate. So what we shoot for there at state is not so much beating anyone else, but being the best we can be so we can get that starred performance. I have to give a quick shout out to River, one of my former 4th graders. He's now a 5th grader and he had moved away and he is watching this and he watched our video. He's one of the boys guys that came to see a show last year and he's up in St. Cloud and he says, I like your new show. And so my 10 or 11-year-old former student likes your new show, guys. He enjoyed it. So shout out to River. I'm trying to look here. Yeah, Miss Munson says live critique is so cool. It is. It's going to be so cool to hear in person what somebody thinks if we get that far. So let me see what other ones, because we probably are starting getting down to the end of our time that's actually going to be able to be posted. I don't want to give Erin too much that she would have to post. 2 questions that I have left. How much, actually 3, how much of our one act processes is student driven? Anybody want to jump in on that? How much of this is your driven versus me driving it? Oh, Maya, your mic's, this is one of our issues. Maya, turn your mic on.
Sorry.
That's okay. She just gave you a live demonstration of one of the tech
This
issues
is
we
what
run into.
happens, as well as my cat occasionally just walking across the screen. I already forgot the question.
How much of it is student driven in our one act process?
I'd say about 95%. Kim, we love you and you do so much for us. But Kim's main job is to babysit us and yell at us if she needs to.
Anybody else have any more to share? No, everybody's just looking at me
I can share then. I thought someone else would love to jump on this question, but I guess I'll jump on it. I think compared to other shows I've been in, the other shows I've been in have been awesome, but I think what about the great things about the one act is it's only 35 minutes long, no music, it's all dialogue. And I think that allows probably one of the greatest flexibilities to put this artwork into us, just like and again, I think Maya has a point. Really, Kim just babysits us. She gives us directions on like, oh, like Will, maybe try like saying this line like this way, or Durian trying doing this. But mainly the artwork is created by us, and it's really a wonderful effort with us collaborating, especially with a student tech director, a student director, a student props master. It's a really driven show, and again, Kim just kind of babysits us. She's just there to watch us over.
You know, that's true. Wait.
Go ahead, Austin.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, like, yeah, what Will says, you know, someone will be like, oh, what should I do with this prop in the background, Kim, and whatever, and Kim's like, don't ask me, ask Austin. And Kim kind of leads it towards us. She kind of hands it off to us and like gives us that responsibility.
And I would agree. I think we do a really, it's really important, especially like I know Mayo one act throughout the entire process. And I know Ms. Munson does this too with the live stage shows. And I know the other directors have too, that Mayo one act is a really student driven vehicle, and it's them creating art together. And I will be a piece of that, but I don't want to be the driver of the train. I want them to step into it and to know that they own it. And at the end, when they can see this beautiful artwork that they've made, they know that they made it. And it wasn't me sculpting them into some artwork. It's them creating it. Even our publicists, I gave them pretty much a lot of free reign about how they were going to find radio stations, find TV stations, what they were going to put up for different, what's going to happen, and I try to give a lot of free reign to the students, because this is where they can learn how to do this. And if this is a career that they would ever be considering, it needs to be something that they create. So that's, I think, a huge piece of our program. I'm not trying to see if there's what advice would you have for other people doing virtual theater? Oh, I forgot that one. I'll get that one in there. Yes, I will get that one in there. What advice would you have for other people doing virtual theater? What do they need to focus on? They're getting tired because I made them get up really early this morning to rehearse.
You need patience, a lot of it, especially when things go wrong in the middle of recording. Patience is so important. And just like having the energy to, I can't speak for everyone, but I'm assuming that you just have to have that energy to be able to, gonna have to start it over, because that's happened a lot.
Yeah,
Austin.
I agree with Austin. Like sometimes we'll just have like some tech issue like midway through the show, and we'll be like, nope, gotta redo it. We've got 5-minute break, and then we're back on. And then we just have to like spring up, like drink some water, do something, wake ourselves up, and just get right back into it. And yeah, we need a lot of patience.
So I have another really good question that's been sent to us. It's how is your character's experience in virtual school similar or different than yours? So in the show, all of your characters are in school, but you're also in this chat with each other. How is their experience of virtual school different than yours?
I can't believe no one's answering, but I'll go. I think one thing I speak for a lot of cast members here is really as really every single night we all hang out, virtually. We play video games, and that's pretty much every single night. And I think it's definitely reminiscent to what happens in the show. It's just kind of, although they don't really show themselves in school in the show, but they definitely show themselves like hanging out virtually online, which is kind of something that the whole cast does quite often. And even like this Monday, we just had like a fun thing where we just got on and we just played games. And I think, yeah, even though like we're in this pandemic, we still find a way to connect with each other, just like in gossip.
Anybody else? Okay. Would you do virtual theater again if it was presented to you? Would you do it again?
Only if I had to.
Only if I didn't have the option to do it in person.
Yeah,
I feel
Yeah,
like
that's exactly what I was gonna say.
I feel like virtual theater would be cool for more like avant-garde or experimental theater, but for just normal plays with like, I don't know, like a set narrative and stuff, I think on stage works a lot better.
All right, Rocco, what do you got?
No.
And I will say that the choice of this show actually came down to the kids. In most years, I choose that I'm directing. I choose the one actor. I know the other directors that have directed. They choose the one act. We tell the kids what it is. We give them some of the script sides, and they get to audition with those materials. This year, because they have not had a whole lot of choice about anything in their lives since for a full year, just about now. I did find about three-ish shows, and I opened up a Google Classroom where kids could join in, and we met a few times on a Google Meets, and I showed them the three different shows, and I let them choose. So they chose the show. This was their choice. It was not even the one that I was leaning towards. The couple that I was leaning towards, they're like, yeah, no. One of them was, I think, hitting a little too close to home. It was about how teenagers deal with the quarantine, and they're all like, no, we're all quarantined out. We don't want to deal with the quarantine. And but they chose this show fairly unanimously. I think there were only a couple votes that were not for this show. Yes, Darian.
Yeah, we actually, some of us were like talking to each other like before auditions and everything about what shows we wanted to do. And a lot of us kind of agreed that we didn't want to do a show that was made for the pandemic. We wanted to do a show that would work with the pandemic.
That's a really good point. Will, go ahead.
I think I think I can speak for everyone here when I say that none of us obviously want to do Zoom theater again. I think it's very tiring sitting in front of a screen for hours and hours on end. Your energy gets drained super fast. You just don't have the same connections. It's just really not that fun. However, I do think there is something to say for having a virtual format and then like Kim said, then posting it on YouTube and like that, like we haven't even, it's not even been up for, well, it's been up for like a day now, like 24 hours, but we've gotten, again, so many views with that. And I think a lot of theaters across the world have realized that like when they like stream their shows, they're reaching such a wide audience that would have never been able to see their shows before. And I think luckily, fortunately, that's a good thing to stay after come this pandemic is the streaming of shows and to just making it too accessible to a really wide audience and all of that stuff. Yeah.
So what I'm mainly hearing you guys say is for this year, yes. Would you do more this year if you had the opportunity? If it was the only opportunity? I'm saying lots of yes. If it's the only opportunity, yes, I would do this. But if there was a chance for me to get on stage, and like that was one of our big discussions. The kids asked quite often, like, what are our chances of getting on stage to do this show? And I did even leave that up to them. I did let them know that like, we did have the ability that we could have acted on stage and recorded it with a camera and submitted it that way. But we would have had to find a different director because I am on distance learning with the district, and so I have to stay distanced. And the other reason they went this way is because if our numbers had gone up to the point where they had canceled all activities within the school building, we wouldn't have been able to perform. And it was at that point, I think, that we decided, no, we need to just commit to the virtual platform because we don't want to put all the work in and not be able to compete. So, all right. Anything else that anyone wants to throw in before we jump off here?
I believe a few emails were sent to you with various questions.
Yes, I believe they were, Mr. Rocco Ruggery. And I think, you know what, maybe you could handle the answering of those on the Facebook afterwards. That'd be great. Once you can jump on that for me, okay? There is one up here, though, that I wanted to. How much do you guys enjoy theater? I think that's a good piece to take out of one of those. I'm not going to do the whole thing.
Like a 4, probably.
Jake.
1,000 out of
Kidding,
10.
10 out of 10. It's
10
great.
out of 10.
Oh, come on, Jake. 1,000 out of 10.
1,000.
Gotta put all the effort in.
180 out of 10. You know what?
I can't even do anything out of 10. Theater is literally my entire life. I don't even know what else to say.
And,
I
and
wouldn't
at this point,
stay at school till 10 for anything else.
Exactly.
I think what I really, really like about theater is how close we all are, even distantly. Yeah, that's a word. Like we've all gone through some pretty tough things over this course of days, and we've gotten each other through it. Sorry, my cat is about to walk and video bomb me. But
excellent.
We're family, and that's what I enjoy the most.
Okay. All right. Well, you're getting a lot of congratulations on the great shows. Break your legs. Congratulations and good luck going forward. Lots of comments like that. Miss Queasley said it was really interesting to hear your answers. And thank you for your thoughts and your work. You're all incredible. Miss Munson's incredibly proud of you all, and proud of you for making it happen virtually. And congratulations on advancing from subsections. So one last time, I want to tell you guys I really adore you, and I think you're amazing human beings. And we want to give out one more shout out to all of our sponsors who stepped up and purchased the tech equipment. Does anybody have their ring light up that they can kind of show them just real quick what their tools do? Yeah, see, like, there we go. They all have these lovely ring lights, and they've got some cool microphones and stuff, and their cameras are already connected to their computers. But lots of cool tech that was given to us by our very generous sponsors, and we'll be able to use that going forward if we ever need to do something similar to this again, or if we want to do some experimental theater, and we will have this opportunity. In addition, I know that there's at least one other school that is asking if they could potentially use some of our equipment at some point this year so their kids can try to have a theater experience. So your donations will go further and help a lot of kids out. So I want to tell you guys I really appreciate all of you, and we can probably go ahead and get off the Facebook Live, but don't run away because I still have notes for all of you lovely humans. And we want to thank everybody for watching. If you haven't seen the video yet, check us out on YouTube. These guys did an amazing job, and I'm super proud of them. So thank you for watching. You can cut us off there, Mr. Jake.